Hi everyone, it's Gina from Gina K Designs and welcome back to another 5-minute card video. This video may go about 7 or 8 minutes, but I think it's worth the watch. Today I'm going to make a nice little beach scene for you, and I'm going to start by using some sandy beach ink. I have a piece of cardstock cut here to 3 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches, and I'm inking up my blending brush, and I'm going to start down at one end here with the sandy beach. Now I definitely want to re-ink my brush a little bit extra here to get more color on there. I think my ink pads are finally starting to need some re-inking. Now I'm going to use another color here. I've got Kraft, and I'm going to use that same brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of Kraft ink just to darken it up a little bit. Now because we're making a beach scene, it's okay if it's not super smooth blending, although you know our ink has a smoothing agent in it, so over time this is going to smooth out even more. But because we're creating the look of the sand and the sea, it's okay if it's got a little bit of roughness to it. So the next color I'm going to use is sea glass. So I'm going to get some sea glass ink here, and I'm going to continue on my blend with some sea glass ink. All right, so I like to turn my cardstock this way. I feel like I get a better blend when I do it from this angle, but you can hold it the other way for sure. So I'm adding some sea glass in there, and I am blending it down a little bit into the sandy beach. All right, now my next color is going to be Turquoise Sea. So I'm going to add some Turquoise Sea over that sea glass. Again, I'm not changing out my blending brush since these are all in the same color family. Let me get a little bit more of that in there to darken that up a little bit. And we're kind of blending from light to dark, so it's going to appear as though the water is very shallow here and then continues to get darker as it works its way back, just like the real ocean. Then I'm going to use some Tranquil Teal, and I'm going to continue my blend. I'm going to come in from this side now. I'm going to bring all of that in. The reason why this card takes a little bit longer is because there's so many colors that I'm using here. You can minimize the amount of colors. You won't need all of them. Just maybe use a lighter hand for your shallow areas and a heavier hand for your darker areas. Now the next color I'm going to use is some blue denim. And I'm going to bring that in just around the edge here. Bring that color in so that it starts to appear as that the ocean is getting very deep in this area. This is actually going to be a Valentine's Day card, although it's not traditional colors, that's for sure. And then my final color for ink blending is going to be in the navy. So I'm going to add just a little bit of that way up here. The very darkest parts. Okay, so you can see I have that pretty blend. Then it really looks like the sun is hitting the water, but then you can really see where it gets nice and deep. Okay, so now my next step is going to be to get my Misty stamping tool, and I'm going to use my Misty corner. I've got the Misty corner in here. That's so that I can pull the paper away from the edge because my stamp is bigger than this piece of paper. And I'm going to take a little bit of embossing magic, and I'm going to rub that over the surface of this cardstock. Probably should do it up here too. Now, if you struggle with this at all, this part, just make sure that your cardstock is dry enough. Okay. Like the ink is completely dry. Now the stamp set that I'm using is one of my favorites. It's called Ocean Minded, and this odd looking stamp right here, you'll see how it all comes to life when I stamp it. This is the waves of the ocean. There's a right way and a wrong way to stamp this. This is the shoreline of the ocean, and this goes back into the water. So don't flip it around this way. It'll look kind of weird. You want it definitely to have these edges down near the bottom of the shoreline. So I'm going to place that stamp right around my shoreline here. So the water is going to get very, very clear right along the sand where the sand meets the water. And I'm going to pick that stamp up with the Misty, and then I'm going to use some of the Gina K Designs Embossing and Watermark ink. So I'm going to ink up my stamp real well with that. And then I'm going to stamp that. I'm going to use my Chucky tool to make sure I get good pressure. I don't want any shallow spots, no pun intended, in my ocean. Okay. And then once that's done, I'm going to get my white embossing powder. It's going to sprinkle that white embossing powder all over that image. And then if you get it in places you don't want it, just take a paintbrush and get rid of all the excess. Or you can give your lungs a workout and really blow that excess away. Okay, I think I got it all there. All right, so now I'm going to use my my Wagner heat tool, not my Marvy heat tool, and I am going to, let me just blow that away there. I am going to just fast forward this part so that you don't have to hear the sound of the heat tool because it is very loud. Okay, so now we have our finished embossed ocean. And I'm going to just tape this down onto this black panel. Now, because I heat embossed, it is a little warpy, so I want to use a little extra tape to get it nice and flat. So we'll get that on there like this. And then I'm going to show you a little trick to enhance the ocean, okay? So I've got two Copic markers. I have C1 and N1. I'm going to start with C1. And I'm going to make this right along the water line look a little wet by adding that C1 right along the edge of that kind of little wave that crashed in there, okay? So that just makes the sand look wet. Then I'm going to take N1 and I'm going to go, using just the point of the marker, I'm going to just darken that up right along the wave. And that just gives it a lot of dimension. It makes it look more three-dimensional. You can really feel the water there. All right. See how that gives it so much more dimension than just that flat look? And then my last steps here are just to attach this to a white card base. And then I'm going to add my greeting. And because I want this to be a little Valentine's Day card, I'm just going to use some Kraft ink, and I'm going to use one of the greetings from the set that says, I love you, and it looks like it's drawn in the sand. So I'm going to ink that up, and I'm going to just stamp that right off to the side here. And there is my finished card. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll give this technique a try. Stay tuned to my channel for more 5-minute card and technique videos and for more live videos too. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.